we've been talking a lot about alopecia. If you know someone or if you're someone who has alopecia, you'll find out you're not alone, and there's a lot to support you. But today we're going to take a different angle. We're going to go to the mom of an alopecia child who has experienced since her daughter was in second grade. She's way up there now at 17 years old, getting ready for college. So tell us your experience with having the first moment in your awareness that your daughter had alopecia.
I remember when I first noticed something was wrong, she was about, I want to say 8 months. And she had a little circle on the back of her head. And I took her to the pediatrician and they said, oh, it's fine, it'll grow back. But in my head, I thought, this is alopecia. We fast forward, she's 5, and we never had another occurrence until she was about 5. Mm-hmm. And then she started having hair loss. Her line of her hair started receding, and it was just coming out in handfuls. So we went to the pediatrician. Some of it grew back with treatment.
You had the injections of the cortisone. Did you go through that process?
We did not. We were going to, but Lauren said, absolutely not. I am not going to do that. And we had done all the medications that they said about putting it on her head, let her scalp get irritated. And one day she came home from school and she was little. I mean, she was 5, 6. And she said, I don't want to do this anymore. And I went, well, okay. I said, let's talk about it. This is what not doing anything anymore means. We won't be investing any more doctor appointments, no more going to the dermatologist. You're not going to get any treatment. So if your hair grows, it grows. If it doesn't grow, it doesn't grow. And she thought about it, and she had a little piece of hair on the top of her head that was left like a Cupid doll. And I remember she came downstairs and she handed it to me. She had cut it off.
Really?
And she said, I get what you're saying and I'm done here.
Wow.
And that was it. I'm like, okay, she gets it. We're done. So we stopped going to the dermatologist and everything. And at the pediatrician, when she got diagnosed, I knew it, but I didn't want to know it. And I started to cry and I got really upset. And I was trying to calm myself down because here's this little 5, 6-year-old at the time. And the pediatrician came to me and she said, I'm going to tell you, she goes, you need to take your cues from Lauren.
Say that again.
You need to take your cues from Lauren.
Wow. Moms that are out there, that's an important piece of information. Go ahead.
And it was probably the best advice that I got. I know the pediatrician understood what I was going through, but she said, don't let your fears become Lauren's fears. Let Lauren live her life. Let her be your leader. And every time something new would come up for her age group, I would go, oh my God, oh my God. But I remembered what Dr. Sheets would tell me, and I would just take a back seat on my emotions and say, Lauren, how do you want to go forward? And she always would think about it and had a way of handling it herself. So I'm like, okay, that's how she wants to do this. That's what we're going to do. At the beginning, she wanted me to tell her classmates what this was. So we would have a very informal, this is what Lauren has. This is how you can be Lauren's friend. You know, this is what you can do when you hear other people talk about her. You know, you don't have to be her, quote, best friend, but this is how you can be on Lauren's team. And the kids took to it. They went home and they were saying, Lauren has alopecia areata totalis. And the parents were like, what?
Speaking Latin.
And they would educate the parents and the other kids. And even though they maybe didn't play on the playground, they had her back. And we did that till about maybe 4th or 5th grade. And she said, nah, I think I can do it from now on. And she did. People would ask her questions. She would give them answers and they would all move forward.
Wow.
So
she'd have these epiphanies and the changes of her life.
Yeah.
Well, I watched you when you would come in to see us on a yearly basis, and you would let her even make the decisions with me, which I always advocate to the parents. You know, I know that they're there to advocate for their child, but it's so important that that child is making a decision. Now, you did change your game this last time because she wanted blonde hair, and you said no way because she's got black hair. But, you know, you got to put your foot down somewhere.
Yeah, we do. Well, and she was also wanting to do this really, yeah. And so we would let you be the deciding.
Yeah, you threw that back on me.
Because I said, you get the complexion, you understand, and honestly, it's hair. And that is one of the perks of this. We can buy little cheap colored wigs and let her, and she does. She wears purple hair to school.
And no hair.
And
Tell
no
a story
hair.
about how she went to school, and there was, what, a look-alike of somebody that she...
Yeah, her principal, who has been with Central High School for a long time, was leaving to do a startup high school where his son is. And so they had a let's dress like Mr. Skinner day. And Lauren's like, Mom, I've got this really great idea. You know, and in the back of my head, she's telling me this idea, and I'm going, oh my God, I don't know about this. But then there's Dr. Sheets telling me, let Lauren be your guide. Lauren wanted to dress like him, and she took her hair off. She had on a tie and a white shirt, and she went in, and she
he's bald.
looked, and he's bald.
Yeah.
He is bald, and she was too. And all the people at school that day were like, oh my God, we got to get you two together and get a picture. And honestly, nobody could rock it like she did.
Because some of the kids actually thought she had shaved her head.
Yeah, they thought she shaved her head for the day, and she was
Which
like,
tributes her look.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah, what girl's going to shave her head? But again, maybe Lauren would have. She was very confident, and she went out there, and it's a great picture that we have. And they bonded together, and she has worked as like one of the students in the office, and so she runs into him quite often. So I think it was a pretty high tribute to him.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Now, how did you find Wigs for Kids? Where was the entry of that relationship that you came with us?
Well, she started losing all this hair. Hats weren't doing it. And we were like, okay, well, we got to come up with something. And actually, one of my friends at the time, it was the mom of one of her friends, had breast cancer. And she had done a lot of research looking where to get a wig for when she was doing treatment. She goes, Nancy, I found this really great place. You have got to check it out. It's Wigs for Kids. And I'm like, okay, this is probably something a little more appropriate for Lauren. And so we went through the process, writing out the application, and got to come in. And honestly, I think it was a game changer for Lauren, because you treated her like a princess that she is, that we know, but somebody else saw it. Everybody here was kind and encouraging. She got to meet other people with alopecia. She didn't feel alone. And that was probably the most important thing. She would Skype with other kids that were maybe having a little more difficulty transitioning. I talked to other parents and will let them know it just wasn't the end of the world. Somebody made a comment to me, it's not a life-ending, life-threatening process, but it sure is a life-changing situation. And everything that you thought that was going to be, you're going to comb your daughter's hair, you get to hear her scream. I remember one of the moms telling me that how that didn't happen. She couldn't have that process. And some parents may think, well, that's not a bad thing. You know, it is still part. And, you know, all this trying to help them with their hair and, you know, going to prom and having her hair put up, you know, we had to make a lot of changes, which are very superficial, but it still is a change. And then you don't know if other children are going to respect them the way that you do. And Lauren really has the best group of friends ever. I'm so proud of Lauren and who she chose to be with, and they all, one girl actually that she's not around with as much anymore said it perfectly. Lauren's Lauren with or without hair. and that is true, and that's how her friends see her.
Right.
But coming up here, I think, helped embrace it and make it more well-rounded.
And just so the audience knows, how much did it cost you for those wigs over the years?
Nothing. Nothing.
That's a blessing that we tribute the people that give the hair and give the money, because it takes both. But it's really a great ability for us to serve kids all over the United States. And Lauren is one incredible lady.
I agree with that. She wanted to let people, and more importantly, other kids her age, have the same support that she has gotten, that she's not alone, that you're going to be okay, that you're going to have a wonderful life if that's the way you want to go. It's doable and it's okay, and there are some perks to it. You know, and we encourage that in our house. certain things, ladies hate to shave their legs. Lauren really doesn't have to do that a whole lot. There's perks.
Yeah.
I'm hot. I take my hair off.
Yeah.
We try to use a lot of humor in our house.
Mm-hmm.
There is none of, I can't do this. Yes, you can do this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's think of another way to do it. And Lauren is just a very positive kid anyway.
And she then started an organization, a support group called Alopecia and Friends. And she's now broadened the spectrum all over Europe and now even coming to the United States. So I'm going to get the two of them to talk together because Lauren just finished with us doing the interviews with a number of the recipient children. Mm-hmm. She did a great job, and we've also, and you don't know this, but we offered to her to be one of the spokespeople for Wigs For Kids and our Speakers Bureau because she's done such a great job, but you've done such a great job. And I know you won't take much credit for this because I know how you are, but you and your husband, and she talked about it in her storyline, the support and the love. They have to hear that, I know parents would be frustrated. Why my kid? Did I do anything wrong? Is it?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Man, it's not easy to just say get over it, but the reality is to help your kid.
You have to move forward.
Yes, yeah, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because I got kids with cancer, kids with trichotillomania that they pull their hair out, and the parents are all dealing with the same thing, and they need to get where your advice from your doctor, your active use of that practice, and listening to your daughter help. The other side is it's great that you have a daughter that was able to, muscle up and take through the process.
The one thing I am going to say for parents, though, they do need to take the time to grieve.
Oh yeah, that's
because
good.
Because it is a change. It is a change. I caution them what they're showing in front of their kids. You want to show appropriate coping skills and teach your child how to cope with this because it's a change.
That's right.
But you don't want to scare your child either. But it's also important that the parent really grieve and then say, okay, we're moving on here. This is still going to be okay.
How did you grieve? Is there anything that you did specifically? Did you?
I cried a lot.
Just go in your bedroom and close the door or go for a walk?
Cried to my husband, took my dog for a walk, cried with the dog. Really cried a lot with my husband and talked to him and said, why me? Why my daughter? I'll go bald, take all my hair. I don't want my daughter to have to go through any of this. That being said, obviously God didn't take my hair, didn't switch places with me. Lauren and I are really good friends too. She's my daughter, and you do have to follow my rules, yes. But we can laugh over certain things, and I know she's going to be okay. I know that she will be okay.
And she is okay.
I do have to share this. This is hilarious. One of the wigs that she got was just this beautiful cascade of hair. And we had to go to a teacher-parent conference. And it must have been maybe her first or second wig. And because she was young and she was still crawling on the chairs, and this was for my son's teacher-parent conference, and she's hanging and her hair's all over the place and she's just being a kid rolling all over the place. And another parent waiting came up to her and said, "You have just got the most beautiful hair. It's almost like a wig." And Lauren goes, "Well, that's because it is a wig," and went on playing. And the other mother, and the mother just looked at me and went, "It is a wig."
Oh, that is excellent. Oh.
But everybody just kind of stopped and was like, "What's going to happen here?" But she just kept playing and doing her own thing.
Well, thank you for doing this. I hope that it really speaks to the audience of parents above anything else, and teachers and doctors, and the journey is a lot of people that interrupt the trip, either good or bad. And when you discovered that the doctor's process was not working, not because they weren't trying, but there wasn't anything they could do. Okay, there's a time, and a season for everything.
Sometimes that happens. Some kids will get growth. Some kids won't, and that is okay.
That's right.
She's had some really beautiful hair here too, and that's been really fun.
Remember, you're not alone, and also remember, beauty begins within. I'm Jeffrey Paul. It's within. I'm Jeffrey Paul. It's within.